Welcome back to Slothbox. I'm Lyndon Dixon, joined today by, he's been on a few times, it's Jordan Gill. Mate, it's great to have you back. And the big news is you're fighting Kiko Martinez. It was announced last week. How on earth are you feeling about that, mate?
I'm excited. It's a massive fight in it, and that's what we get into boxing for. These big fights, how many fighters turn pro and get to a level where you're boxing one of the guys in the top 10 in the Ring magazine, and you think how like it's been a long road to get here, and I'm glad that we're here now, and I'm looking forward to the fight. I think it's going to be a fantastic fight. I think it's a fight where it can't not be a good fight. So
Exactly.
yeah, I'm just buzzing that it's got made, and looking forward to it.
How long has it been in the works for? Was it a quick thing, or is it a name that's been circling around for a bit?
Well, it's a name that's been circling around because, like, I went to Boatsy Richards at the O2,
Hmm.
and I spoke to Eddie then, and I said, "Oh, I've got my mandatory," and and he was like, he didn't really seem bothered about it, the making the fight with a mandatory, to be honest, and he was like, "The fight I want to see him is Kiko Martinez," and I like before that, I'd not even thought about Kiko
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I've been beat by Warren, just lost his world title to Warrington. And I thought, oh yeah, that's a great fight. So yeah, it got the juices flowing. And then obviously, he mentioned it there, and then the matchroom team probably made an offer, not made an offer, but sort of got into talks about it. And then one thing led to another. I mentioned it in a couple of interviews that I did, and
Mhm.
here we are.
So I know you're always in the gym, like you have been pretty much a couple of weeks after the Gurphy fight. But has camp started already for Martinez, or is things just starting to kick in now?
Yeah, well, I've been training constantly for a long time, for months and months on end. So, I had a good little stint where I was sort of just doing bits and bobs of sparring, but more sort of tech sparring. And then picked up a little niggle, so I had like 4 or 5 weeks off sparring, and then last couple of weeks I just started sparring. So really, yeah, camps well underway. I be like, we don't really do camps, but we just train all the time,
Mm.
and we've stepped up the sparring. Gonna step up the rounds this week, and we're trying to get some good sparring partners in. So fingers crossed, they all they it all goes to plan, and we get some good rounds in.
I know you mentioned, well, I'm not sure if you mentioned it before or after we started the interview, but you've had that hand injury that's been a pain in the backside. Is that 100% now, or is it still a bit touch and go? But obviously ready for the fun.
Oh, it's ready for the fight. It's definitely ready for the fight. And yeah, it was a big operation what I had in March. So I needed it for the last 2 or 3 years, and it's been a pain in my ass. That
Mm.
hand, it's like every day was agony, and like you can't go into the gym and moan about it because everyone gets fed up of you moaning. You think if
Yeah,
you're in the
yeah.
right place, just go. And it's one of them things where I needed it doing, but I wanted a big fight, one to sort of propel me into like to give me a little bit of time, a little bit of a bargaining power. So once I wanted to win a fight that give me a title to give me a little bit of bargaining power. So give me a little bit of time to get that operated on. And the European title was it. So I had that. I knew I'd probably be out for 4 or 5 months at least. So it's been that since March, and yeah, back firing now, back punching hard with that right hand. They did a full, but they got a scar there. There's a scar there. They opened the whole hand up, did a full fusion, bone fusion on my hand. They took the bone out of my hip. So not only did I have a dicky hand, I had a dicky leg as well. And I was hobbling about, picking up, making cups of tea on my left hand, spilling water all over the shop.
Oh,
No
mate.
good, isn't it?
I'd rather it be you than me.
We're good now.
Yeah, but talking of, you mentioned the Gurphy fight. I want to rewind a little bit. So you finally got what you deserve. You got the European title strap. But what a fight that was against, mate. You threw everything but the kitchen sink against you. But well, you perforated both your eardrums, but you found the knockout punch on the ropes. I just want to go back. I want you to talk about what was that round like when you got the win, but what was that round like? Because you was in the danger zone, mate.
It is what it is. I don't know. Like, the weirdest thing is like as chaotic as it seems when an outsider's looking in, and obviously you're in the O2 arena. There's thousands of people there screaming and shouting. You're live on TV, their corner's screaming at you, your corner's screaming at you. There's the rest looking in, what's going on. There's a guy in front of you trying to hit you and knock you out. But it's like it looks so chaotic. But when you're in that moment, and
Mm.
it's like it's almost peaceful. It's almost like everything's just, you know what? It's just this is where I'm meant to be. But for me, it was it was okay. I knew what I had to do, and I did it. It was a case where my both my ears were perforated. I actually perforated one of my eardrums in sparring before the fight, and it just sort of sealed up for the fight just in time. But obviously, as soon as it got clipped on it, it went.
Mm.
But I actually did the other one as well. I think the other one was when I got DDT, to be honest.
Yeah.
But these things happen, mate. These things happen. But yeah, so I had a little knee injury going into the fight. It was like one of them fights where I couldn't have gone in. I couldn't have had a worse position in the
Yeah.
fight,
Yeah.
and I couldn't have been in any more trouble. I couldn't move the way I wanted to because I was restricted with my knee movement. Um, for the last couple of years, when I watch my fights back, I can see that I'm a bit gun shy with my right hand that I didn't used to be, just because of the pain that it causes me. But obviously that's sorted now. Um, and yeah, the DDT, the perfect eardrums, like literally everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And I had to sit on the ropes, defend. Every time I was defending, I was stabbing him back downstairs to the body. I could see the effort it was taking him to mount these attacks, and I thought, I'm gonna get you, and I got him.
For me as a fan, after the fight, when you got your hand raised, it finally felt like, especially the next couple of days, you was finally getting the credit you deserved on social media, at least. How did it feel for you after that win? Because I know, I know you agree. You've been through plenty of ups, but plenty of downs as well. So how did it feel? You know, you got the European title around your waist. How was that win?
It felt good, but it's like when you achieve anything, it's still not satisfying enough. There's always more. There's always one more to go. And I did get credit, but at the same time, a lot of people was like, "Oh, it's a lucky punch. You weren't looking for it," and stuff like that. So, you know, I treat every comment the same, whether it's good or bad. Everybody that says praises me, I acknowledge it, I move on. Everybody that gives me a negative comment, I acknowledge it, I move on, and that's the way it is. I don't really feel any way about it. I don't look back at that fight and feel any way about it now because I'm focused on the next one, and hopefully I get the credit for beating Kiko because if I'd boxed him in February or in March, I'd be fighting for the world title. He's not like he's an old champion from a long time ago.
Mm.
He was literally world champion in his last fight, and he's top 10 in the Ring magazine, and he's a fantastic fighter, a fighter that I've gone through, the early parts of my career, and even as an amateur, I remember watching him and think, "Wow, this guy can fight. He's very good." And I've been a fan of him, and like he's probably Spain's most successful boxer ever, two-weight, two-time world champion, and credit where credit's due. I respect him as a fighter. He's a proper fighter, and
Yes.
he's one of the guys who'll go anywhere and fight anyone. And you have to respect a guy like that.
Talking about Kiko, I just want to say the balls it takes for this to be the first fight after you get the European title. I mean, there isn't many harder fights out there for your first title defense, mate.
Yeah, you're not wrong, mate. But people want to see it, and I like to give people what they want to see. I think most people, no one's really said about the first defense of the European title, but most people said the first fight back after a hand injury, a
Yeah.
hand operation, because his head's like a bowling ball. And he said, "The person saying you're definitely going to break your hand again, mate."
Um, Talking about Kiko's power, though, you only have to look at the Galahad fight to see it's still there. I mean, I know he's 36, but do you and Dave Coldwell have a? Obviously, you do, but what is the game plan going into the fight with a man that has the abilities that he does?
Um, Good question. Very good question. Not actually spoke to Dave too much about it yet. But it's one of the fights where Kiko, he is what he is. He's
Mm.
he's a solid fighter. He's tough as they come. He'll give it everything for every part of every round. And like you said, the power is the last thing that goes. And he's got dynamite in his hands. We've seen that time and time over. Broke Warrington's jaw in his last fight. Knocked out Kid Galahad. So yeah, I think it's the case where we've got to be smart. We've got to not trade with him. We've got to do everything on my terms, and think see how it goes. Just adapt.
We spoke a little bit about Dave there. What is it like not only being in that Coldwell gym, but you've been with Dave for a long time now, and it feels like if you look back just on BoxRec, when you got with Dave, it feels like things started to go well. But what is it like, training under Dave Coldwell?
Yeah, it's great. Every day is a school day. You're always learning. He's always picking up on things that you're doing well and things that you're not doing well. Um, for me, when I went to Dave, I think that's when my career starts. I think so. I think I've had like 13 fights with Dave. So really, I'm 13-0 because the career that I had before was like, for me, it wasn't really a career. So yeah, I'm thankful for having him as a coach. And to see the progress that we've made from when I look back at old sparring clips, like when I used to come and spar, when I weren't even trained by Dave. I first met Dave when I'll come and help Gavin McDonald spar for his first world title shot. That's when I sparred him, and I watched back clips of that, or if I've sparred Jamie McDonald or all the other guys that we've been sparring with overseas and stuff like that, and I just look back and think, wow, like how much I've improved under
Yeah.
Dave. And I wouldn't be in this situation now fighting Kiko without him. So yeah, it's been good. We're lucky we got a good little stable in the gym, and there's not too many of us, but what there is quality. We've got Lerone Richards, IBO super middleweight world champion. We've got Obi Price, who's one of the best prospects in boxing, and we've got a young lad called Stephen Cairns, who is very good. Is one to watch from Ireland as well.
Now, speaking about yourself again, it's for me, I'm just looking at the bigger picture. Then, providing you beat Martinez, there's not many boxes left to tick, in my opinion, before you can validly scream and shout for a world title shot. Is that the plan? Is that, beat Kiko and then that's the next step for you?
Yeah, I think so. For me, you know, everybody wants to take their time and get the right fights at the right time. I think this is one of them situations where it is the right fight at the right time, but like you said, there's not many more boxes to tick after this fight.
Mm.
Uh, Before my last fight, I think there was a few more boxes to tick, but you know, literally everything that you can experience in a boxing ring, I've experienced. I've been down, I've been hurt, I've got up, I've won, I've been beat, I've been hurt to the body, I've perforated both eardrums, I've been DDT'd, I've won on points, I've won by knockout. Um, Most things in a boxing ring. I've been behind on the cards and won. Um, there's not much that I haven't experienced, so there's nothing for me that I have to experience again in the boxing ring that will make me ready for a world title fight that I'm not ready now. So I think yeah, it's only a matter of time whether it's the fight after this or whether I have to have a final eliminator. But for me, I'm just taking one fight at a time. I've got a very hard, tough man in front of me,
Mm.
and I'm going to make sure that I'm 100% on the night and do the job.
Moving on from yourself.
This fight is a IBF eliminator as well, so this is not just European title defense. It's a eliminator for the IBF. I think give me the number 2 spot with the IBF.
Oh, brilliant, mate. But moving on from yourself a little bit, there's a big fight coming up in 2 weeks. It's Eubank Jr. against Conor Ben. And I just want to get your opinion. How do you see that one going? Because there's so many factors when you look at it. It's like Ben's never fought anyone that good, and he's never fought at that weight. Eubank hasn't fought at that weight since he was 18. And then you've got the whole weight, the what you call it, the stuff after the weigh-in, the drainage and stuff. How do you see it going?
I think for me, it is what it is. It's a fantastic fight. to capture the imagination of public because of what their fathers did. Ben and Eubank, it's a name that intertwines with each other through various generations, and to see it again, Ben versus Eubank, Eubank versus Ben, whatever, is something that's never been done before in history. They're taking advantage of it, striking whilst the iron's hot. If they didn't do it now, it might never have happened, and it's an opportunity for them both to box in a sold out arena with millions of people watching around the world, and they're both going to make millions. So, in that sense, fair play to them. And as far as the fight goes, for me, I think everyone's making a big deal out of the weight, and I really don't think Eubank's going to struggle as much as what everybody thinks. I think he's gonna feel it a little bit, but I think he's one of them guys that he walks around pretty close to his weight anyway. He's always lean. He's always in a gym. He's always, eating well. He's always looking in shape. And for somebody of his stature and somebody with his physique and genetics, I think he'll be able to sweat out a few extra pounds. It's literally three pounds, I think, for him to get off. So I don't think he's going to struggle too much. And I don't think he's going to be down at 60% like he's saying. I think he might be 90 to 95% in the ring. And to be honest, I do think that will be enough because when you look at the two, Eubank's boxed at high level. He's had more experience. He's boxed at that weight where Ben hasn't. His engine is proven. His toughness is proven. His mental strength is proven. He's been in with massive punchers, bigger punchers than Conor Benn. People like George Groves. And George Groves didn't put a dent in him. Although George Groves handily won the fight, it was more of a boxing lesson than anything else. And you think the fights that Eubank has lost is because he's been outboxed. And so the question is, can Ben outbox Eubank? And I think he might have success, but at the same time, how much is he going to have to go through the gears to get to the point where he is outboxing him? And how long is his energy going to last? Because he's put on a little bit of weight. I know he's not had to cut too much, but it's interesting. We'll see. For me, I think it's a little bit of a step too far for Ben, but I'd like to see him pull it off, and I'd be over the moon for him if he did. But I don't begrudge him for taking it. I don't blame him for taking it because it's bigger money than he'd have got in the welterweight division. And he's got to that point now where I'm in that point where all these fights you're either there or thereabouts for world title. So you got to be boxing these guys in the top 10 in the division. So if Conor Benn boxes anybody in the welterweight top 10 division, there's a good chance that he might lose anyway, and it might be for a fifth of the money that he'd get for Eubank. So financially it makes sense, and if he isn't big enough and doesn't win, he can say, you know what, I weren't big enough, I didn't win, but I've given the fans everything they wanted to see. We had a good fight. It's Eubank versus Ben again, and I'll go back down to my weight, and we'll see.
I couldn't agree more, to be honest. But the next one is a bit of a serious topic. Eubank has said he will only be abstaining from sex for 2 weeks for Ben. He's not going to give him the full camp. I want to know, Jordan Gill, do you support Eubank's tactics?
See, you're right. This is a very serious topic, Lyndon, and it's a topic that I've investigated, massively.
I can tell.
Many a study, many a case study, many experiments into this. We've delved deep into this topic, and from my experience, I think that testosterone peaks every 3 days. So for me, a 2-week, of abstaining wouldn't be beneficial at all. I think you've got to feed the fire to keep the fire burning, mate. And I think you've got to feed that testosterone. So I think if he's boxing on a Saturday night, he's got to see his missus on a Wednesday night, and I think by Saturday night the fire will be burning and the testosterone will be peaking. That's just my scientific view on it. But I could be wrong. I usually am.
Could you do it for 2 weeks? Not a
No,
chance, no. Well, anyway, mate, that brings me on to my final question. The year's coming to a close. You've chinned Guerfi for the European, and now hopefully you'll be chinning Kiko for a shot at the world. But where do you see yourself, Jordan Gill, next year? What are you doing?
In world title fights, and you know that's what we're working towards now. Like I said, get past Kiko, and we're there or thereabouts. I'll either have one fight after and fight for world title, or I'll be straight in. But you know how the landscapes changes from now until then, we'll see. Because that's one thing about boxing; it's unpredictable. But I'll be in a gym as I usually am. I'll be training hard. I'll be working to better myself and be the best version of myself in the ring. And that's all I can do.
Brilliant. Well, I've been Linda Dixon. He's been Jordan Gill, and you've been watching Slothbox, and we'll see you again next time. Cheers, Jordan.